I was in a coffee shop, and Goldie, I swear to you, Goldie Hawn walks in. Kate Hudson's in a stroller. Kate Hudson was like 2, I think. It was this little neighborhood coffee shop in North Hollywood, and sitting at the counter was one of the Hager twins, one of these guys on Hee Haw. I sat down at the counter, and I knew who he was. I knew exactly who he was, but I had already sensed that people are more comfortable if you don't make a big deal out of who they are, and then they can just be themselves. So I knew exactly who he was, and he said to me, "Hey, how you doing?" He's a very friendly guy, and I said, "Oh, great." He said, "What are you doing?" I said, "Well, I moved out here, and I'm a musician." And I said, "What do you do?" And he said, "Oh, I'm a singer. My brother and I are singers, and we're on this show, Hee Haw." And I said, "Oh, I've never seen it." I told because I wanted him to, I just wanted to keep it friendly, And he said, "Oh yeah, I do this TV show." And then we had a couple cups of coffee, and he said to me, "Do you know how to write music down on paper? Like, can you take a tape and then write it on paper?" And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, my brother and I are looking for somebody to do that because we travel around and we carry a band, but it's getting too expensive. So we want to take music with us and hire a band in every city we go to. Can you write it down off a tape?" I said, "Absolutely, I can do that. I mean, yeah." And I'm thinking, wow, finally a job, takes my number, and he doesn't call me for a year. A whole year goes by, and I thought, well, he was being nice, but it's never going to happen. I get a phone call a year later, almost to the day, and he says, "John Hager." I said, "Hey, John, what's going on?" He said, "Hey, my brother and I are doing the Merv Griffin show Friday." At the time, it was a big show. Probably no one knows what that is now, but Merv Griffin show, and he said, "I need 2 arrangements for Merv's band. We want to sing 'Let Your Love Flow,' which at the time was a hit, Bellamy Brothers, and we want to do this other one, and I need 2 arrangements for his band." I said, "Well, do you know what instruments he has?" He said, "I'll find out." And I said, "Great." And I said, "What key?" He said, "I don't know. I have no idea." And I said, "Well, can we get together?" And no. He said, "No, just be at Merv Griffin show. I swear to God. Be at Merv Griffin show Friday at 1 o'clock for a rehearsal." And I didn't even know if they were going to pay me. They never discussed paying me, and I was too embarrassed to ask. And so I show up at the Merv Griffin show. I have 2 arrangements for his band. Mort Lindsay was the music director, who I idolized, and there he was. And we start to run the rehearsal, and I wrote a guitar solo in the middle of "Let Your Love Flow." So John Hager said, "Well, who's going to play the guitar solo?" And I said, "I'll do it." Okay, so I wrote myself in. So now I'm on the Merv Griffin show, right, with the guys. And we finished, and they said, "Would you come on the road with us, because you can write all our music down, but then you could come and just help us rehearse the bands." Great. So I went on the road with those 2 guys, and then they would do Hee Haw twice a year. The way Hee Haw used to work is they would tape 13 episodes at a time. Almost no one lived in Nashville at the time, so we'd all go into Nashville, tape 13 shows, which took about 2 weeks. We all stayed in the same hotel. Raised hell, may I say. It was a wild bunch. They were a wild bunch. And then we go away, and 6 months later we go back and shoot 13 more shows. And that was 26, and they'd repeat them, and that was a whole year. So I ended up doing Hee Haw. I did all the arrangements for the Hagers, and I would play guitar when they were on. And I don't think I appeared on camera hardly ever, because they almost never showed the band when the Hagers were on. They'd come up in the cornfield or whatever. But it was there that I met Kenny Rogers. I met George Jones and Tammy Wynette. I met a lot of those people at the time. George Ritchie was the music director of Hee Haw. I remember the day he brought Kenny Rogers this song. He said, "I had a song for you that you should record." And Kenny, at the time, was putting out books of how to play the guitar. He was putting out, poor guy, he wasn't doing well in those days. He said, "I got a song for you. You should record this, and I think it'd be a good song for you." And he said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "It's Lucille." And George Ritchie brought him Lucille, and Kenny recorded it, and off he went. So that's how I ended up on Hee Haw. That's the long answer to how the guy from Rochester ended up on Hee Haw. Just meeting in a coffee shop like a typical Hollywood story, I guess. Somebody's discovered in a drugstore or something. But it took a year, but they did call me, and it just was luck of the draw.